Shoot. I mean, I guess in short version, I mean, that's a big question.
You're like, how much time do we have?
Right. But in the short version, I mean, I basically, from the start, I was working a pretty miserable job. Not like miserable. I was making okay money. I was doing, well, but it was just like I didn't have that sense of fulfillment. I'd go home and I'd just be like, wow, I'm not helping anyone. And I've always had this heart to help people. So it came to the point where I was like, I need to go do something that's helping people. So I ended up selling everything I had and I went to a mission trip in Africa for 6 months. And that's when I realized I was like, this is where my heart's at. This is what, God's wanting me to do. And then when I came back, it was shortly after that, I started working, regular jobs again, wasn't feeling fulfilled. Then I found the Phoenix Rescue Mission, the street outreach team. And that's when I was like, oh yeah, this is it. And, I started working here and, just helping people on a daily basis, being able to, not just create relationships, but like help people when they do want to get off the street or help people with addictions or any problems they're having. It's truly a blessing. I come in every day and that they ask me all the time, they're like, how are you liking it? I was like, I don't even feel like I'm coming into work. So I love it. It's been great.
You don't really enjoy a job that doesn't have some real meaning attached to it. You're kind of mission driven.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And, I don't know, it's one of those things that it's been on my heart forever. And it's just one of those things where I was like, well, I'm just going to let this go, let this go. But the more you put it off, the heavier it gets. So I was just like, well, and yeah, now that I'm in it, I'm like, man, this is great. This is exactly where God wants me.
And did you have a personal history with substance abuse or anybody in your family or any personal connection to this?
I had a
area
little
of
bit
work?
of it. I mean, it wasn't to the extent that a lot of people deal with. It wasn't even to the extent of me like being able to get like peer support or anything like that. But I did have my struggles with it, and I can relate to people on a certain level with it, which I've seen is super helpful. I mean, it really is being able to walk up to someone and say like, hey, I kind of dealt with the same things. They're automatically just trusting you.
If you could just tell us a little bit about yourself. I don't think people, obviously people won't know anything about you at all. So
sure. My background is in early childhood education. I had been in that field for over 15 over 15 years.
So you started when you were 10.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Just in different capacities. And so I've just always, liked being able to kind of shape the future generations and just help people. And it just happened to be with children. And at the last 2 years, I've been working with adults, giving them education, like to help educate young children. And then in this role, really connecting them with resources. And then with the motivational interviewing, just being able to help them be confident and responsible, take that ownership of the change that they want in their lives.
A little bit of empowerment there.
Yes.
And do you have a personal connection at all to work with folks with addictions and homelessness, or was this, how did you get involved in this particular kind of work?
I think for me, I'm adopted, and my biological mother, she was homeless. So that's my connection.
Yeah, so it makes the work pretty meaningful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just kind of where God brought me out from, because I was raised by parents, but being able to give back and kind of help people hopefully avoid being homeless.
Yeah. ¿Y cómo aprendiste el español?
Cuando tenía 13 años, when I was 13, I started studying Spanish in middle school. I just kept with it. And I went to Costa Rica more than once. I taught in Costa Rica, I taught kindergarten. I lived in Mexico for a while. So it's also something I'm really, really passionate about.
Mhm. Very cool. So maybe, this question is for both of you. What can you describe a little bit about what your job is and what you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, I mean, I can start. So I work on the street outreach team, and basically what my job is to, I mean, the end goal is to help homeless people get off the streets and to get housing. But in the midst of that, it's, just helping people, realize that, they're worth it, helping people, get off drugs or get out of situations they may be in that's holding them back from getting housing. And just, building relationships with people, building trust with people so that in hopes one day we can get them off the street.
So are you like on the street with a clipboard, or you like dropped you off somewhere, or how does this,
I mean,
what's
they
the
give me,
mechanics of this?
yeah, I mean, they give me a car and they say go. So a lot of people are assigned certain cities that we have contracts with. I'm the only case manager that's just allowed to go wherever. So I've been, in Phoenix a lot, but I'm all over the place. And yeah, really it's just finding people and then, or finding, little encampments, making a relationship with those people, them getting used to you. And then it's like, hey, here's the services we can offer. How can we help? And sometimes it's just giving them water, hygiene, and saying hi, how's it going? But the more you create that relationship, the more they're open to services.
Yeah, it sounds like kind of a slow approach,
Absolutely.
gain some trust, play the long
Absolutely.
game.
I just had a homeless individual come in, and he was saying he didn't like another program because they didn't follow up with people. They weren't trying to build that relationship. And so I think that is something that makes us at Phoenix Rescue Mission like unique, to go
Right.
back encampments. I just wanted to add that, Steven.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, talk about grassroots or street level. You're right there where the issue is, rather than making people come to some place or just you have a brief contact with them and that's it. You guys are reaching out. What about Sarita? I think your role is a little bit different. What's your daily
Mine
yours
is
kind of look like?
different. I'm kind of making it what my supervisors and the program director really hope it to be. And so I'm working with those that might be in situations of homelessness, that are, a lot of people need rent and utility assistance, or help with their HOA, or even just help finding an apartment. So my everyday, I have a lot of individuals that come to the food bank, and they're able to fill out a survey that has different examples of, maybe they were looking for education classes. Maybe they want to learn English. Maybe they are a veteran and are needing some assistance, or they're a senior looking for some more assistance or help with their SNAP application. And so after that, then I give them a call or a text or email, or they just walk into my office and I start a conversation with them, see how they're doing, and see what they're needing and how I can help. And I mostly work with those that are in Glendale, but I can help others that aren't, but I give a lot of referrals to other community agencies. That's another piece where I just try to network in that way. So I'm better prepared at how to share all that is available for individuals.
Is it fair to say then that Steven is working with folks who are currently on the street, and you're doing some things to kind of prevent people from getting to that point and
Yeah.
providing them with services they would need so that they don't end up on the street?
That's true. And there are times that there's been overlap. So maybe there is a homeless individual that comes in and I'm able to help them with a couple of things. And then I'm able to call on someone from the street outreach team and they're able, for example, they've been able to pick them up from here, the food bank, and take them to our warehouse and they're able to get clothing, or they're able to take them to intake to start the recovery program.
Yeah, I like that you guys are flexible, right? You've got someone comes in, you can take a look at different needs and help them maybe where they're most interested in getting that help. I think it would be wrong to assume that every person you talk to is super happy for the services and wants to immediately get out of homelessness, and people are beating down your door just to get the help. What's some of the resistance or issues that you see? What are some of the obstacles and barriers?
Man, that's hard. I mean, it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, how, I'm like, I have all these resources. Why don't you want my help? But a lot of them don't. And I think a lot of the barriers are, addictions. I think that's a huge barrier for a lot of people. I think a lot of them don't want to feel like they're being controlled.
Mhm.
And a lot of them do feel that way, in a program or something like that. It's like we're telling them what to do. But in reality, we're just trying to help them. But yeah, I think, the barriers, there's addictions, there's people that struggle with control. They like the freedom they have, being out there. They don't have to listen to anyone. They don't have to do anything they don't want to do. So that's hard to kind of break that.
Yeah, so addiction is huge. And then also just, I don't know what you'd call that, maybe even some stubbornness and just a desire to be in control and to be captains of their own ship and not give up any autonomy or have to follow
Right.
rules or strictures that someone else might have for them.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Is it different with the clients that you're working with, Sarita? Are there different challenges or?
I was just thinking about that. It's a little bit, I think mine can be the language barrier. Many of the clients that I do have are or guests that come in are Spanish speakers. So if they don't have someone, and I think the way things are designed, when you call somewhere, even for utilities, it starts off in English. So that's just a barrier right there. Or another barrier is just being skilled at using the computer. I think another one would be if they get, by the time I get back with them, they might have a new cell phone number or their mailbox is full. I mean, it's more of a simpler barrier. Or transportation. They're not able to come in to have an appointment with me to complete an application or to go to that other place. Or also that ownership, I think once they receive it, then they have to take that step to make that call or to go.
Yeah, so there's like a million logistical issues that get in the way. And then there is a piece that they have to be motivated to follow through on, or it's not going to happen. So you can lead a horse to water, but there's a part where they've got to kind of drink.
And I can't hold their hand necessarily all the way. They have to, go that little step further.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm interested then, how do you guys see a skill like motivational interviewing fitting in with your work?
I think for me, I think it's just so much like with something like motivational interviewing and, everything surrounding it, they feel like they still have that freedom or control over the decision they're making. And I think that is so helpful. I think like, even just like, after, using the course and like going out to the streets and, using the tactics like more efficiently, it's so helpful. They're so much more open to it. They're so much more, it's almost like, oh, this is what I desire. This is what I want. This isn't what someone else wants for me. And once you get that out of them, it's a game changer.
Yeah, it's no longer adversarial or you're trying to convince them to do something. It's coming from them.
Exactly.
I had one of my clients actually yesterday. I was able to make like a plan. Well, I didn't make it, right? She made decided her goal, and she was hopeful that just to share, like for someone in her family to come and talk with me. And she's like, I've seen therapists like before, and it's like their agenda, but you just listen, and I'm able to just decide like what we're doing. And so I think that's what makes it effective. That's what makes it work.
Yeah, I think no matter how down on your luck you are, you're still a human being, and you want some dignity and you want some say-so in how things progress, and you want it to be a little bit of your victory too.
Yeah.
So yeah. What do you think the risk is if you don't use an approach like MI? What can go wrong?
I mean, I think the main one that sticks out for me is you break that you break that trust, you break that relationship, and then they don't want to work with you at all. It's like, now I can go and I can, even if they're not accepting services, I can go and I can still say what's up. I can still check in with them, and they treat me as, a friend, someone that they trust, someone that they're familiar with. But if you don't take that approach and you take a different approach and forcing them into something, or not an MI approach, then it's like, well, I want nothing to do with you. And when you come around, they're not going to want to talk to you. They're going to maybe even talk behind your back to other people, saying like, nope, this guy's no good. And then, you have this reputation of like, oh, this guy just forces people into things we don't want to do. And no one wants that.
Yeah,
So
closes doors, right? Like closes doors with that person, but potentially you develop a reputation as closing doors for other people as well. So it spreads.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What about in your role, Sarita? What do you think the danger is if you don't use a motivational interviewing kind of approach?
It's the same. I think people would just kind of shut down and just be avoidant.
Yeah. Yeah. To freeze response almost, right? Or I'm just not even going to engage with you, and you don't get anywhere. Cool. I don't know if you guys have anything like this, but is there any an example that you have of something where Steven kind of had one earlier where he was talking with somebody, but an example where a motivational interviewing skill kind of made the difference or helped you get farther with somebody? Or
And that's tough. I think the one that comes to my mind was, there's this guy that I wouldn't say I forced into the program, but it was my idea to get him into the program. It was my idea. I brought it up. It wasn't something that he brought up himself. And he was like, okay, yeah, let's give it a try. We end up taking him to the program. When we get there, he's like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I just brought you here, He's like, nope, I don't want to do this. So then he literally walks out and starts walking down the road. And for whatever reason, I'm like, I need to follow this guy. I don't have to do that because he decided to leave, but like, I need to follow this guy and talk to him. So I follow him. He's sitting at the bus stop, and he's sitting there and he's like, we're just having a chat. I'm not talking about, hey, you left. We're just having a chat. He goes, I really want an RV. And then I was like, well, don't you think this is your best, chance at getting an RV? Using that kind of question. He was like, yeah, you know what? I do think it is. He's like, let's give it another shot. So he ends up going to the program and doing the program and everything. But it was just one of those times where it was like, he had the realization for himself, like, this would be good for me, rather than me having the realization being like, let's take you.
yeah, you can give him every argument in the book and he's just going to be like, nope.
Yep.
when you found what was the thing that he desired, and you could connect your service to that, kind of opened up a new vista for him. How about you, Sarita? Is there an example of where the skills kind of made the difference in a situation, or?
Just in general, for a handful of people that are now my clients, they come in as a guest in the food bank, and depending, they become like a client of mine. And I think it's just even, telling more about that. And then a lot of times then it leads into like, they come into my office, and a lot, they say, I think you, not a lot, but it's happened, even just happened yesterday, just, wow, it was really like a God sent thing. Like, just to have someone there that they, really needed to share more about what they're going through, and just feeling for help. So
very cool.
I don't think I would, maybe normally I would just be like, oh, like, how are you doing? And okay, well, but then if I start saying more, I have more techniques to kind of extend that conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get more of a relationship going.
Like you also taught us.
Okay, what do you think, somebody who hasn't done a job like yours, what do you think that what's maybe a common misconception about working with people that are either homeless or at risk of being homeless? What do you think you're seeing that maybe you wish people, who haven't had that experience knew about that kind of work?
I think for me, and I'm even guilty of it, before working in this field, but a lot of people are, they look at homeless people and they're like, just get a job. All your problems are fixed. Just go and get a job. But they don't realize everything, behind that. It's like, well, there's addiction that needs to be dealt with. And that's, it's not easy to beat. There's, a lot of people don't even have an ID or a social security card or birth certificate because they've gotten beaten and robbed and stuff like that, of all that stuff. And it's like, well, how are you going to go get a job if you don't have any of that stuff? You don't have any money to go and get it. You don't have the resources to go and get it. You don't have the transportation to go and get it. It's just a lot deeper than they just need to go out and get a job. There's a lot of things that need to be, there's trauma that needs to be dealt with. There's responsibility that needs to be built. And a lot of these people have been out here for 4 or 5 years. It's all they know. So breaking that down and being like, hey, getting used to working again. And it's a process. It takes a while.
Yeah, a lot of components involved.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What about for you, Sarita? Is there something that you think maybe is a common misconception, or that, you wish other people who don't do the work that you do, you wish they understood?
So I think I'm more like aware of like the barriers that those facing homelessness have. And I think I just assume that they maybe wouldn't have as much, but they do. A lot of them are really trying. It's not, it's not like they're like not intelligent or something.
Yeah, you're seeing effort, you're seeing a desire for things to change, and people confronting obstacles.
A lot of times, yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm curious what you guys would say to a coworker about the course that you guys took. What if they were considering taking the course? What would your thoughts or recommendations be?
First of all, I would just let them know, like, hey, it has been very helpful, which it has, Jason. And thank you, honestly, for the course. When I first came into it, I was like, ooh, this seems long, and this might suck a little bit.
It is long.
It is long, but I really enjoyed it, and it has been very helpful. So yeah, that would be the main thing. I would just say, hey, this has been really helpful. It's helped me not only engage in more people, but have better engagements with people, have better conversations with people, especially if someone's, struggling to get, engagements or people off the streets and stuff, I'd be like, hey, this is a great course to take, because it does help. Giving them that power is something completely different. So I think, yeah, that would be it. And then I'll just give them some examples that I've already given you and just been like, hey, this is how it's helped me. But that would be my main thing.
Yeah, it sounds like the empowerment piece and making sure that you're really honoring their autonomy has been probably important for you.
Oh yeah.
What about for you, Sarita? What would you say to somebody that was like 7 weeks?
I would, definitely recommend it to them. It went by really quickly. I think the hands-on example and in-class interaction helped. I really felt like, well, in a way, kind of like school, because I had this real life experience, and then at the class we could talk about like what happened, or kind of what would everyone do in this situation, or there'd be maybe an example built into the program that related to something that I really experienced that week. I think it also just allowed me to grow in like confidence, just interacting with people, because this is like a new role for me. I haven't worked with this population like in this way before.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you. I think that's pretty much all the questions I had for you guys. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on, or?
Not for me.
All right.
I noticed that there was a number 2, what's the second course?
So in the next, probably within the next week or two, I'll be sending out an invite. And at this point, what we do is we just get together and we practice. So it's further getting together people who've gone through the course and just really practicing the skills and getting feedback on it is kind of how we really dig down into the skills.
Okay.
And that feedback I found is really helpful. That your own perception of how you're doing is somewhat helpful, but when other people are watching you and give you tips, you're like the learning curve it's a lot steeper.
Okay.
So I'll be sending that out pretty soon.
Okay.